Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of News for Normies. If you learned something new from this video, or you got some normies in your life that refuse to let corporate media die, send this video to them and let me know what you think in the comments down below. So a little bit of housekeeping first. Sorry about last week. I got caught up with some house projects here, and by the time it was all said and done, just did not have the mental fortitude to do one of these videos. Second, forgive the mess behind me. The wife and I went and did some Christmas shopping today, so trying to get a head start on that. All right, time for the news. This past week, Joe Biden authorized Ukraine to use long-range missiles in order to strike targets deep inside Russian-held territory. Because of this, Ukraine said, bet, and fired 6 missiles into Russian-held territory. I guess, fortunately, Russia claims to have shot down 5 of the 6 missiles, and the last missile hit but caused little to no casualties. By the way, these missiles were supplied by the U.S., meaning your tax dollars and mine, were used to pay for missiles to send to Ukraine to fight a war, I guess, even though, people here in North Carolina are still probably suffering from the hurricane, but, whatever. So this almost seems like old Sleepy Joe is trying to kneecap Trump right before leaving office. So because of this, Russia had to respond in kind. And they launched one intermediate range ballistic missile, or IRBM for short, which is very similar to an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, except the IRBM held a much smaller payload, and it was also not a nuclear warhead, thank God, because that would kick off a bunch of other bad things to come. Yeah. So much for Trump getting us into World War III, though, even though in his first term there were no new wars, he was trying to set a timeline and a game plan to get us out of Afghanistan, which Biden fumbled big time. Yeah. And the Abraham Accords. There we go. I've had a bit of a Biden moment myself there. But yeah, the Abraham Accords, where several countries in the Middle East who have been at odds with each other for decades on end finally came to an agreement and said, we're going to chill. But yeah, Donald Trump's going to get us into World War III. Speaking of World War III, a Chinese boat, was stopped in the Baltic Sea on allegations of destroying underwater communication cables. So think of internet cables or telephone, telecommunication lines. And apparently what they did was they deployed an anchor and then just kept going for like 60-something miles. Now, I am not an expert on how boats work, but you would think that once you deployed an anchor and it is engaged, you would know pretty soon after trying to move forward because there'd be some resistance holding you back. Yeah, that definitely feels like an intentional act, and it almost feels like China's kind of testing the waters for a bigger move. So, for everybody that's concerned about Russia, why are you not also concerned about China? Just asking. Well, since the election, this has been fun. Donald Trump has been slowly announcing his picks for his cabinet positions. And I love the fact that he's like slow rolling this, just like one day at a time. Oh, I want this person. Oh, I want that person. Because it's left, the left, pardon me, absolutely losing their minds. Some of these picks include Tom Homan for border czar, RFK Jr. for head of Health and Human Services, and originally Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. However, Gaetz pulled his name from the nomination, and instead Trump announced that he wanted Pam Bondi for AG. That also seems like a pretty solid pick. Gates probably wasn't going to get nominated because all these nominations still have to go through the Senate. Um, but if he wanted to, he could have retained his seat in Congress since the people in Florida voted for him for the next Congress session. But he said that he will not be joining the 119th Congress come 2025. Um, Interesting why he's not doing that. There are allegations against him of sexual impropriety. Um, if that's the case, then if that is true, then he should face some consequences for that. However, we've seen how the left likes to go after people they don't like, and so I would definitely need to see some hard evidence of that. Now, I know he did have a House Ethics Committee thing against him, but I'm pretty sure that's been closed up since he's stepping back. Speaking of other cases open against them, the New York judge is essentially going to close the fraud slash hush money case against Trump up in New York State. However, this is still an ongoing situation. I think Trump has to file some paperwork and all of the rigmarole that comes with that. So it seems like he will not be sentenced at all for the fake case against him there. Speaking of more legal issues, employees at the FBI and other government agencies are beginning to lawyer up in anticipation for Trump's retribution on corruption within the federal government. Good luck, have fun, and learn to code, I guess. I don't know what to tell you, because most of you people have useless jobs and are just mooching off the government. So, yeah, learn to code or weld. Do something with your hands, not sit behind a computer and, look at Excel spreadsheets all day and claim you're doing work. Yeah. Speaking of even more legal problems, those cackling hens over at The View had to read multiple legal notices on air this past week due to their blatant lies and smears against some public figures, such as Matt Gaetz, Pete Hegseth, and others. These morons are wearing this as a badge of honor, yet can't figure out how the ratings are in the gutter and why corporate media is hanging on by a thread. Well, when you get on TV and just lie and smear people all day, people are going to turn your shit off. It's a pretty easy equation here, guys. It's not that hard to figure out. But I guess when you're indoctrinated into a cult, any opposition to your beliefs is essentially a threat to your existence, the way you think about it. But it seems like some people on the left are finally waking up to the error of their ways, but sometimes, it just doesn't feel like it's gonna work for them, because the Morning Joe hosts visited Trump at Mar-a-Lago to, quote, open lines of communication, end quote, with the president-elect. Awfully funny, this happened, after the election, of course, and this also happened the week after their show got 28,000 views in their key demographic last weekend, November 16 through 17. Due to horrible ratings and the network just hemorrhaging money at this point, Comcast is looking to sell MSNBC and other channels that's under their ownership. They're looking to sell or kind of spin it off in its own little network or something, because they're hurting that bad. In that same vein, CNN is also down in their ratings. Both of these networks are trying to cut costs, cut back on salaries and stuff. I think Rachel Maddow is having her salary taken from oh no, 30 million to 25 million because people just aren't watching their show. That's like still 30 million more than what she's worth on TV, by the way, because she just gets on there and lies. Also, side tangent here. So there was a Twitter thread going viral where I think Donald Trump Jr. started it and tagged Elon Musk and said, "Hey Elon, I've got a funny idea for you," or something along those lines. And then Elon Musk responded with, "How much?" To which then Joe Rogan hopped in on the conversation, tagged Elon Musk again, and said that he would be willing to take Rachel Maddow's show and even wear the same glasses and outfit and tell the same lies. This is amazing. I love the fact that these people are trolling the left hard on this and making them feel like they're completely stupid, because they are. So my big ask for you people that are watching this video: A, hit that subscribe button. B, share this with your friends. And C, encourage anybody you know that still watches these corporate media outlets to listen to the likes of Tim Pool, Jimmy Dore, Steven Crowder, or if you can stomach, just blatant left-wing mouthpieces, Breaking Points with Crystal and Sagar. I personally have issues with Crystal Ball, who is one of the hosts at Breaking Points, but at least you'll get opinions from a right-leaning perspective and a left-leaning perspective. Anyway, you'll get opinions from both sides of the political aisle, and you can kind of come to your own conclusions there. My problem with Crystal is that she's just again, another mouthpiece for the left-wing agenda, and, I can't support that. So, anyway, moving on. A woman in Congress by the name of Nancy Mace is trying to push a bill in Congress that would basically state that biological men are not permitted in the women's room, restroom, and vice versa in federal buildings. I didn't think that this would become an issue, but, it's kind of common sense that men are men and women are women, and men belong in the men's room and women belong in the women's room. So I don't see what is so controversial about that, but apparently we have to rehash that. All right. So this last story is going to get me fired up a little bit, because this was something that was completely avoidable if, we had some leadership that had some common sense in their skull. Laken Riley's killer was sentenced to life in prison here in the United States. If you're not familiar with this story, Laken Riley was a college student who was brutally raped and murdered by an illegal alien. So in my opinion, one, Joe Biden has blood on his hands because he allowed this whole immigration crisis to unfurl. And B, this guy is getting off very easy in our criminal justice system. In my opinion, this is too easy for this monster, and he should be publicly and embarrassingly executed for all to see. We have gone way too soft on animals like this, and a message needs to be sent. I'm sorry, but for anybody that bitches about toxic masculinity, where are you bitching now? The left wants to rail about toxic masculinity, but then when a guy commits a heinous crime, y'all defend him. Like, why? Why? And again, how are feminists not pissed off about this? This young woman was brutally raped and murdered because of our failed immigration policies. So on one hand, when a mass shooting happens, the left comes out and cries, "Oh, if it saves just one life, ban assault rifles." When, when you look statistically, most murders that happen from firearms happen with handguns. We already have laws in the books that are, say murder's illegal, possessing a handgun under the age of 21 is illegal, assault with a weapon is illegal. Like, these things are already deemed illegal, yet people still do them. But when something like this happens, y'all don't use the same logic. If it saves just one life, shouldn't we have a stricter immigration policy? Or, how about this? A physical border between Mexico and the U.S. That way it drastically slows down, at least, people just walking across the border. Yeah. It just blows my mind how you people can just continually defend everything the Democrat Party does when it clearly is not working. And that's because the Democrat Party is now the party of communists, and we all know what happens to communists when you step out of line. Right now, you just get ostracized and shunned from the party, and you don't say anything because you don't want to be ostracized from the good side, even though your policies clearly aren't. So, again, this guy, here's an idea. How about next time Elon decides to shoot a rocket up into space, we take this guy, strap him to the outside of the rocket, and hit the button. See what happens for science. Yeah. So, with all that being said, I'm going to get off here. I will catch y'all next time. Stay safe and have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. Take care.